no backdoor control. And you call foreigners who are located in Israel to come and put up this for you, and you do not see that this is a problem that you're creating for the takeover of your nation, and you're telling us everything should be digitized, and you do not have a backup system. What does this portend to us as a people? The attack, in my humble view, is orchestrated. It was designed, because if it was, you say this was hackers in, quote unquote, organic intervention, then you would see the judiciary should have been equally affected. The NTSA system should have been equally affected. But these are only select, just a few. Mm-hmm. This is what that leader of the World Economic Forum, known as Klaus Schwab, in his book known as the Fourth Revolution, stated that there is going to be a cyber attack, what they're calling a cyber polygon. And for what purpose? So that then they create the necessity for all of us to have a more secure digitized system, so that if you heard Elon Musk saying that you will get rid of your phone, you need to become the unit yourself. And they started that already by digitizing the human being. So now they even have the acolyte called Yuval Harari saying that you can hack the human being. So the fact that they can hack your systems, what does that mean for you as a country? It means you're not in control. It means, this is in my humble view, neocolonialism par excellence. This is the best exempling of how we are so vulnerable. We've given up our sovereignty. And I always say that the African nations ought to come together and say that let's control our own cyberspace. Lastly, you find there is a little story here that nobody's even talking about, that Elon Musk has now ganged up, come together with Safaricom. And initially there was a communication authority fight that, filtered over that. And what has happened for this deal to happen, to play out? Vodacom is a foreign company that has shares in Safaricom. So in my humble view, this is a neocolonialism where you are operating a system here to govern your people under e-citizen. Mm-hmm. You have absolutely no control. And you have the illusion of freedom, that you are free. Try to access their website. In the UK, for instance, in the US, you cannot access their website, but they are free to access your information here and tell you, do your e-procurement. So let us know who is that. They follow your everything. You no longer have the privacy. So I'm saying the so-called commander-in-chief, in my humble view, is still fixated with the physical spaces and the military. And this is the new space that ought to be protected, in my humble view, the cyberspace. Yes. Your data is out there free to be traded, and that's a new oil, they say. Yeah. So if it's a new oil, we ought to preserve it. And it's so brazen how they tell you that it's suspected to be PCP at Kenya. Excuse me, you know the hacker, and you're not doing anything about it? Lastly, I want to say, this, in my humble view, they who are behind the so-called hacking software, like Pegasus, who are located in Israel, are behind this. And then they come and tell you that, oh, we need to give you a solution. And yet they are fixing backdoors there to access your data, to control you. And when they want, at the turn of a switch, they turn you off.
Thank you for that. We've just been granted a few more minutes, so I'd want us to discuss that State of the Nation address now that I'm still on you. President, as required by the Constitution, he has to address joint houses of Parliament and tell Kenyans where the country is now and going forward. He's already indicated part of his agenda, that he's going to be trying to push the MPs to enact a law for the enactment of what he called the infrastructure fund, a 1.5 trillion shilling fund. But he did not explain where the funds are going to be sourced from. It's either taxation or probably debt. Do you think that is fair, that you could just push members of Parliament to come up with a law without proper explanation where the funding is supposed to be coming from? And should MPs just take it up like that?
No, I don't think it is fair at all. And I think honorable members of parliament ought to be more responsible. And just to answer your earlier question that you had said that there are people who will go about, or they're about to go about, saying that Honorable Gachagua should be excluded. Article 193, sub-article 3 of the Constitution, 193, sub-article 3 states that no, you're not disqualified from getting onto the political platform until you have fully exhausted your appeal mechanism. That's the Constitution saying that. So he has court cases, and until Supreme Court finally determines with finality that that is the position of his impeachment or whatever the case may be, he is still open even to be on the ballot. Let's clarify that. Let's get that out of the way. Article 193, sub-article 3 of the Constitution. Now, coming to the State of the Nation address, this president, I don't know who his legal advisors are, and I don't know if the Honorable Attorney General has advised this president. Look, the State of the Nation address, you go and tell the Kenyan people what the Constitution tells you. Your international commitments, obligations that you have met, what happens here, and how you have actually fulfilled and met the constitutional demands that are set out in the Constitution, and what you are supposed to be doing about the human rights and protection of the fundamental freedom. You don't come and tell us about your infrastructure fund. That is not what the Constitution tells you. You don't have the liberty to do it. You are supposed to come and tell us that I went to New York and I got into some agreement with some company called BlackRock to sell off our minerals. I went on to France and I got into some financial commitment here so that we can have the digital currency in this world, in this country. And I never saw the approval of Parliament. That is what I'm coming to present to you in Parliament. That's what he's supposed to be telling us, so that we question him, who gave you the authority to do it? How is that you walk to New York, enter into these sideshows, some agreements, and you come and tell us we're supposed to have all-carrier digital data center? Who told you that that's what we want? Have we committed ourselves to it? Have we told you? And yet you have people here you're abducting, violating their human rights by the day, and some are disappearing without even change. That's murder, that's death. You are violating Article 26 of the Constitution. He has no authority. What will the MPs do? Go there, accept him, and then they will watch him, and then he will leave, walk away, and then they will begin debating, oh, you know the president said this, oh, you know the president says that, and they don't question him.
Don't you think it's an indication of the kind of confidence he has on his legislative agenda now that Raila Odinga is no longer there to influence ODM party directly? But William Ruto appears very confident to come up with a new plan, an infrastructure fund that could actually potentially increase the taxation on Kenyans. Don't you think that that portrays a very confident president in as far as his control of the Houses of Parliament? I
wouldn't say confident. I would say arrogant, condescending because Honorable Mutambo would say here that, look, he goes to his Kamba people, and allow me to use that, tribal tag. It's inevitable, I have to say. And he goes and denigrates, insults their leader, as it were. Let's call him the leader, Honorable Kalonzo, and the rest of the opposition. You are mindless people. You're fools. You have no brain. I mean, what sort of a leader is that? That is condescending. You cannot even say that is confident. That is even prohibited under the Article 73 of the Constitution and the Leadership Integrity Act. What should he be doing? He should be a humble president leading, because he's supposed to be a servant leader, but not a dictator. So his confidence, as it were, that he's going to do is because he has, with respect, I'm not saying all members of the National Assembly are docile and out there just to accept and take whatever he places and throws on the table, and, thank you, in a very docile, soprano tone. That's not the way it's supposed to be. They are supposed to be representing the Kenyan people. And I urge them, before he comes on for the State of the Nation address, let them read and familiarize themselves with the meaning, the scope, and the implications of a State of the Nation address. And if I were in Parliament, I would say, hey, wait, Mr. President, before you walk off, before you get off the podium, I want to ask you a couple questions, A, B, C, and D, and whatever. And I want to ask him about the people who disappeared, have never been even treated, because he is the ultimate person. Even the laws they are passing, the buck stops with him, as it were. He should never have signed that so-called law that they said about conflict of interest, because the conflict of interest tells you, you can step aside with full pay. Someone is accused of corruption. He's his government servant, but he is the one penning it into law.
Okay.
He bears the buck.
All right. Finally, Bwana Mutambo, your final comments. State of the Nation address.
This is quite unfortunate, because as it is today, and like you have said, our shrewd president has mastered the heart of either bribing or bringing the members of parliament to his side by whichever means. Okay, the majority, let me say the majority, because not all of them. And because he knows they can do nothing but to sing or to dance to his tune, he can do whatever he wishes to do. Mm-hmm. And it is so sad because the people of Kenya have got no powers to react or to say anything against that, save of just going on the street, right, and demonstrate against what he's planning to do. You wonder, when somebody tells you, we don't need rain, we need water. When he tells you, we don't need food, we need to eat. So when he tells you, you need development, and don't ask about the money, then, because I believe I'm also a contributor to national development by paying my taxes, because that's what built my nation, right? So when you tell me, don't worry about the money, are you telling me I should stop paying taxes because our magical president will go and bring some numbers from where we don't know? I'm calling it magical because when you look at the history, you know, sometimes we need to look back and ask ourselves questions about people, right? This is a man who has been telling Kenyans, my job is to sell eggs and chicken. Mayai kidogo kidogo hapa na kuku, and we own billions. Which chickens are these which we don't farm? Okay. So there are questions we need to ask ourselves about a person. And when now he believes that money is the power and money is everything, then I am afraid that he would want to use that to do whatever you want to do. So whenever he's addressing the nation through parliament, it's unfortunate that the law does not allow members of parliament to question him, apart from sneaking in with whistles and just blow to him so you don't speak. But you cannot question and you cannot debate when he is talking because standing orders do not allow. Okay. That's the only unfortunate thing. But members can talk about his address after, and they can discuss about it. It is quite unfortunate. I'm seeing whatever you want going through parliament because we don't have people. And with even though we are talking about Raila's exit and asking whether if Raila was alive, could this happen? The answer says yes, because he was there, he was dining with him, and his members now are aligned to that line. So it's quite unfortunate. All right.
John Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, asante sana. Harrison Kinyanjui, advocate of the High Court, asante for your time, and James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, our panelists this morning on State of the Nation, taking a look at the big headlines, and we've discussed quite a lot from ODM to the by-elections, and of course State of the Nation address that we anticipate later this week by the President. Once more, a quick sweep through the dailies this morning. Wachezeana rafu ni habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo, kizungumzia masuala ya uchaguzi mdogo unaokuja wiki ijayo. People Daily, who will win the Mount Kenya votes? That is the same kind of setup on the front page of the Star 2027 epic race. Ruto numbers against Kalonzo and Gachagua, that my panelists do not agree with that analysis whatsoever. The Daily Nation, hackers paradise. Yes, they say they finally managed to contain it, but how bad was the damage? And police bribe racket on the front page of the Standard. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a State of the Nation. My name is Fred Indemuli.